What is up, guys? Welcome back to yet another transformation episode. We are so glad that you're here and tuning in. So I brought today Eric, who has been with us now. This is actually his year mark.
1 year.
1 year in a couple days.
My name is Eric, and I'm a 63-year-old guy that has all sorts of different challenges and opportunities. And in the last year, I've lost over 60 pounds with Nikki's program.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to do today is share some of that journey with you for your specific journey.
Awesome. I love that. So I think, you've already kind of nailed my first question, and I just want the viewers to kind of know a little bit more about you, who you are, where you've been. We know you're 63. Tell us a little about your past and your career.
So, the part that's interesting is I've been a runner and a gunner for a lot of my life. I was a Navy pilot. I was an FBI agent. And through my 40s and 50s, I did a half Ironman. I ran 10 marathons. I did a lot of those different things. But in my late 50s, I had a significant impact. I had a spinal injury from my Navy service, and I had shoulder issues and I had hand issues. And as a result of that, I gained a significant amount of weight. When I flew, I was at 190 to 200 pounds, and I got up to 270 pounds. And that wasn't healthy. It wasn't productive. And that's when I turned to Nikki to understand what I could do nutritionally and physically to get back to what I felt was normal.
Yeah. And I think it's really important. And one of the reasons I wanted Eric to come on is because I think so many people give up too soon, or they think that it's just not possible for them.
And that's an important piece, because when I started this journey at 270 pounds, I'd pretty much given up. I was in significant pain from a spinal injury from the Navy. My shoulder had challenges, and I didn't understand, what had happened, because I'd been so physical in my younger years. So what Nikki helped me understand is the first thing that we have to focus on is you're perfectly and wonderfully unique at whatever stage in your life that you are. And that I didn't understand that. Okay, and I rolled my eyes clicked, is what does that mean, right? I wasn't into tree hugging and bunny loving, but what she helped me understand is that there's a chemistry experiment here. And when she did my blood work, she helped me understand that I was perfectly unique. And when I asked questions about that, because I didn't understand it, because, I lived off of beer and pizza in my 40s and 50s. And what she helped me understand is that in this specific season, she said, "Have you always been bald?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Has your beard always been gray?" And I said, "No." And she says, "Then your nutrition is going to be based on your specific chemistry." And after she did a full panel, she helped me understand what I could do to achieve my goals. And what's interesting is, if you're in for a diet, she can come up with a 90 to 180 day plan. That's fine. But my interest was, how do I improve my life? How do I understand my nutrition? How do I understand my experience in health? And that's the differentiator with Nikki's programs. Okay? She dug in and helped me understand. The first piece that we had to do was balance my blood, and that involved supplements. And when she does this very specific analysis, the investment of time and money helps you understand what you can eat and what not. She then takes on the next step of understanding what is your specific rate that you want to achieve your goal, and what is your specific goal. Because if you want to improve, you've got to invest your time and talent, and actually your treasure. And if people think it's too expensive, I absolutely will tell you that that's not true. My specific experience was, she has a level of accountability when you start this program. You have to take a picture of everything that you eat and document it. And what was funny is, she could see my progress was improving, and then I hit a flat line. And because of the accountability, she calls me and she says, "Eric, are you actually tracking everything you eat?" And I said, "Absolutely." And knowing me personally, because she invests the time to understand who you are personally, she says, "Eric, what about everything you drink?" And I said, that wasn't part of the rule.
Wasn't the question I asked.
So I had to improve my accountability. And the point was, at my age and stage, when I have a few beers, she helped me understand how alcohol impacts my body at 62 and 63. And that made a material difference, because once I understood that, she would talk any number of different things. I would come in and say, "Can I have cheese?" And she says, break. Because of the investment of time and understanding, she got to know me. I had joint pain. And what Nikki was able to do is she said, "Explain that to me." And I talked about my hands and my joints. And she says, "Do you eat tomatoes and do you eat peppers?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "What about eggplant?" And I said, "Once in a while, right? I'm not much."
Yeah.
But she says, "How much do you eat tomatoes and peppers?" And I said, "All the time." And she says, "Those are something called nightshades." And I'm like, "What is that?" And she said, "It will affect your joints." And she said, 2 weeks. Don't eat them for 2 weeks and tell me what. And it solved an incredible amount of joint pain. So coming into the journey, when you talk about supplements help you balance the blood. Then we talk about the rate of loss. Okay, she'll give you a unique and customized diet on what you can eat to achieve your goals, your specific goals. Okay, then there's something called peptides. And peptides can affect your rate of loss of weight. And she can explain it much better than I can.
Of course.
But if you have specific goals for whatever your specific journey are, she can help you with that. And the third component, which I believe you will be able to see in my pictures, is a level of something called body composition. You're going to reach different plateaus in this journey. In my specific journey, it was at 216 pounds, 210 pounds, 205 pounds, and now it's at 200, trying to get towards 200 pounds. And what happens is the body composition will change based on the hormones, your specific, perfectly unique hormone component. And she'll help you achieve whatever goals. And what I would say is, take a look at my pictures.
Yeah.
It has been an amazing 12-month journey. What I would say when she talks about DFQ, I say, don't freaking quit, is you will have ups and downs. Your journey will in fact have spikes, and I will share, the weight loss journey. So the opportunity is to stay committed, to continue to communicate, and remain accountable to Nikki and this team at Experience Health, because there are two components to it. There's the nutritional side, and then there's the physical side. And she can help you with both sides on how to transform and improve your life.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. I think that he pretty much nailed everything that you've been through in the past year with us. And I think that one of the things you just said, I want to touch back on the nightshades and the lectins, so I want to get back to that. So I think that's really important for people to understand. And then the other thing you said is, a minute ago, you were saying there's different sticking points almost that you had in the journey. So when we first started, it was nutrition, very much so. That was our focus, right? Getting all the supplements in. We had some blood markers that needed to be optimized, so we definitely dove into that. And I just said, go walk. Remember? I was like, just go walk. Just
Yes.
move.
And what was interesting there when she talked about that is it was literally getting to my neighbor's mailbox and then getting to the phone pole past the mailbox. And then it was getting to a quarter mile and half a mile. And now I've been able to do literally 4-mile hikes across, rugged terrain with my pup. And I can do that 3 times a week.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
That's awesome. His wife is actually on this journey with us, and you'll get to hear from her in next few episodes. So we're excited about that. But Kelly mentioned that you are so you signed up for some kind of event, or you're going out with some guys to do some kind of.
So what I was able to do in this journey is we were able to go on an 8-mile hike, around Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, and then within a week, I was able to do an 8-mile hike across, Kennesaw Mountain, big Kennesaw Mountain, and the little top behind it.
That's awesome.
So we're not talking about just a flat track. We're talking about actual hikes and being able to lean in with other men and lead the way. It's been an incredible journey.
It's awesome. The level of physical fitness and the change that's happened has been awesome. And I think there was a shift when we got further in. I would almost call it 6 months in. That may not be exactly right. But, then we brought in, after the walking, the strength and conditioning piece.
And the part that's important here is everybody's perfectly unique, okay? And you don't have to spend an hour in the gym. That's not what's necessary for this program. What's necessary for the program is a level of consistency.
Amen.
Okay? And what you have to do is listen to the counsel that she and her husband give you, okay, to have a level of consistency so that you can remain strong and gain strong. It's the body transition, okay? And it's a day-by-day choice. Any fool can work out for an hour a day, okay? But it's the 23 hours that you're fighting with a fork.
Yes.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And so what Experience Health helps you understand is your experience with food. It's your experience with the process. And what's so important is educating yourself on nutrition. And other people will say, I can't give up alcohol, I can't give up, sugar, I can't give up ice cream. What I'm asking you to consider is, what are your goals and how do you want to improve your life? Because when you understand what we are eating, that's what that's the differentiator between her program and any other, is the level of education and understanding you have to improve your life. And the best way I can say this is, if you were to buy only one car in your entire life, okay, how would you treat that car? Okay, you would treat it significantly and purposefully. And when you fueled that car, you would give it, if you needed to give it premium gas, you would. So what she can help you understand is how to keep the body of the car clean and then how your engine can run optimally. Okay, and the choice is going to be yours. And if you want to make an investment in your life and improving your life at whatever age and stage you are, I can tell you that going from 270 pounds to 200 pounds and going through all the challenges, every day has been worth it. You will have ups, you will have downs, but don't freaking quit. And she will not let you quit. She will continue to motivate you, and she will be with you every step of the way, purposely, specifically, and uniquely for your journey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And here's the important piece, is when you come in, she's got street cred. When you take a look at her and her journey, and specifically, this isn't a coach, that she's, she motivates you.
Walking the walk, talking the talk.
She's got street cred, right? When you sit there and I try to do this and I try to match hers, this is the wonderful opportunity. But she absolutely can invest the time, talent, and treasure to have the street cred.
I love that. I'm going to pick a little bit more on your strength training piece, though, because I think this is something that people struggle with, is when they have to shift their mindset from the number on the scale being the goal going down. Because we had a point where we were like, okay, like you've lost significant amount of body fat, but the pounds are gone, but now the recomposition piece really needs to come into play. I told you, I said, the scale's not going to move like it was, but the clothes are going to change.
So this is an important piece, is I was, I have mission inertia, and I was focused on the scale, and I hit a plateau at 216 pounds, and I stuck there for like 3 weeks. And what was interesting is she will commit you to periodic checkups to get, rope and choke, to get measurements and get weights, okay, to measure your journey so that you have benchmarks, okay? And I hit a benchmark and it was at 216, and I had a rope and choke, so she had measurements, and I was stuck there for 4 weeks, and I came in extremely frustrated. And she says, okay, let's do a rope and choke. And during that event, my weight had been consistent, but I had lost
inches,
incredible number of inches.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, when you invest in the time and the treasure to come on this journey, understand that focus on different pieces. She will help you understand the journey, whether it's weight or there will be a point where it becomes body composition. And when she does that, be patient, because you are perfectly unique. How you purposely fuel your body and how you invest the time and exercise. And folks, I'm not talking about, you don't have to invest 3 or 4 hours a day. Literally, it's half an hour to 45 minutes a day, whether you're lifting or walking. I can't run. I can't do heavy weights. I can't do CrossFit anymore. I'm not doing marathons anymore. This is literally walking my dog, hiking, and working on cable. I have something called a tonal. So it's not heavy iron weights at the gym with CrossFit. This is just literally cable weights for half hour, 45 minutes a day, 3 to 5 days a week, and walking. But it's all coming down to how do I fuel? What is my premium octane fuel?
Yep.
That is the major component for 23 hours a day.
Yeah, and that teed me up to go back to the nightshade lectin piece. So everybody's body is different and very unique, like we just said. That's why we do blood work. That's why we do testing, right? And some people have gluten intolerances, dairy intolerances. There's also something called lectin, which is a plant protein, right? And it's primarily found in nightshades like peppers and cucumbers and things like that. And it can wreak havoc on the body. It can create almost like an autoimmune response, achy joints. I think Kel was having some digestion issues because they were eating the same thing. And as soon as we removed those for a few weeks, you guys got better. So that's another piece too, is like not all healthy food is good for everyone. That's why we have what we call a food inflammation test. We love that test. And that just kind of shows, what foods you should and shouldn't eat for your own unique bio-individuality. So I think that's important. The other thing I wanted to ask you, because this is, I think, would be relevant and people would resonate with, is what do you think was the hardest part of the journey?
So the hardest part of the journey, candidly, is understanding my relationship with the food. Okay, is when I had the accountability of tracking everything I ate and everything I drank. Okay, I had to understand that, and I'm an executive, and I work in a corporate environment with cubes and their things, and I began to understand that I would walk around and grab candy bars. I would walk around and grab trail mix that had M&Ms in it. And things like I'd get soup, but I would eat a sleeve of Ritz crackers. Okay, and then when I got home, you have any number of beers or alcohol, and what I understood was if I'm drinking to make today, to numb today, tomorrow's only going to be worse. Okay, and alcohol, specifically at my age and stage, in my season, anytime I ingest alcohol, it destroys any kind of progress for the next 2 or 3 days.
Yep.
Okay, and she can get into the specifics. She can get into the science later. But I would say the hardest part of the journey was understanding my relationship with the food and why was I eating. And when I started to remove the drivers of impulse eating, ice cream and chocolate, crackers, Fritos and sour cream, dips, dressings, but it was more so dips and Fritos. When I removed those impulsive, desires, addictive foods, and that's a whole nother thing about the chemistry of the salt and the processed foods. You become, everything from potato chips. She can get into the specific sciences, but if you listen, if you take the time to invest that, and you come back, I can tell you now that when we eat and shop the Four Corners, that when I have cottage cheese and frozen blueberries, I have more taste and understanding than any ice cream and chocolate I've ever had. And I can tell you, when I sit down and I cook meat and I use spices, I use cumin, I use different salts and different peppers. And there's even salt, the science behind the salt, whether it's Himalayan salt or the plain white salt, how you fuel your body with premium fuel will make a significant difference.
Very much so. Very much so. So what would you tell the person who's an executive that's your age, male or female, and they've been struggling? They're struggling with their weight. They've tried all the things. What would be your encouragement to them? Like words of encouragement. Like what would you tell that person who thinks like almost all hope is lost?
So, that's a really good question because I worked, I still work from, 7 to 7:30 in the morning to 7 to 7:30 at night. I'm giving my corporation, 12 hours a day. And my opportunity is in those 12 hours and actually in the 15 to 18 hours that you're awake, how are you investing and how are you improving yourself? And what I will tell you is when I was heavy, I was tired, I was lethargic, I wasn't focused. But when you improve the fuel, it is like any kind of car that you can drive. Your engine's running better, you're focused, and this fake idea that it's going to cost more to use the different pieces that she has for supplements or peptides or hormones. When you take out the junk that you eat and invest that time and actually invest that treasure to improve your body, you feel 1,000 times better. And that is the most important thing. I've got 6 grandchildren, and they notice the difference with Grandpa Mogs.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And the other thing I want to do too is I just wanted to share your journey in inches. Kind of thought was super fun. So like I said, Eric's been with us for a year. And we did measurements. We always do measurements. We do progress photos for people. No one likes it in the beginning, but when moments like these, people understand why we do it. And it's good to be able to see the progress because sometimes the scale's not our friend, especially if we're building muscle and going through body recomposition, right? That's how we understood back at year 216 where it was like, hey, I'm stuck, but you're not really stuck. We're changing. Transforming. Yes. But the 1 year measurements. So we started at 270 pounds. Today we're sitting at 203. Current total weight loss, 67 pounds, which is phenomenal in 1 year. In 1 year, 12 months. And you lost a good chunk of that probably in the first 6.
Absolutely.
I would say the first 6. And then the last 20-ish pounds were probably the last 4 or 5.
And I'll show the graph that shows the tape.
Yeah, we'll get that and we'll upload it so people can see it. He lost 4 inches off his shoulders. He lost 2.5 inches off his chest, which is a good thing. We didn't need too much upper body loss. Right? If anything, the fat he lost, we replaced with muscle. If you can see his pectorals, you can see his shoulders. He's a completely different person. Waist, 10 inches. 10 inches off his waist. That's huge. It's amazing.
And I'll tell you, as an executive, it has been an interesting experience. I have teams around the world. And when I come in, the last time they'd see me, less than 8 months ago, they actually don't recognize me. I can walk into the building and they don't recognize me.
Yep.
And that is an interesting experience. And we actually had our accountant this year ask why we had such a significant contribution to charity, and we said we had to get rid of all the clothes.
Yeah.
Because nothing fit.
That's awesome. Him and his wife, I can't wait for you guys to meet her too. Their journeys are just amazing, and I couldn't be more proud of them. Kelly came first. So we met Kelly at church, and she came over first. And I remember when she was telling me her story, and she told me about you, and she said, you'd had a bad experience somewhere else with a chiropractor or something like that, and you were very hesitant. And I told her, I said, you focus on you, and you show him what we're going to do here. And I was like, and you won't need to say anything. I was like, he will see it for himself. And I remember getting the phone call or the email or the text. I forgot what it was. And I was just like, okay, let's go. And we call that the trickle-down effect.
So, when she talks about this, it's is a man. And, what I'll tell you is this, is too frequently we try to fix things with brute force and ignorance. Okay? We just try to muscle our way through it. Okay? And what I'm telling you that's significant in the different experience with Experience Health is the fact that it's perfectly unique, okay? And there's a significant process when it comes to supplements, peptides, and hormones, right? Your blood balance, your rate of loss designed specifically for you, and then your body composition, okay? And they will develop a program of nutrition, supplements, peptides, hormones, and exercise to achieve whatever goal you need.
Yeah. So, it's been awesome. It's been an honor to work with you in the past year, and you're not done.
I'm not done. I can't wait to show you what year 2 does.
Right, exactly, right? So it's onward and upward from here. But I think with most people, if they can hang out and they can, be consistent and keep showing up and being accountable, it works.
Don't freaking quit.
And it's an educational piece too.
It is. Right? You have to listen. The most important piece is to show up every day. It is, like I say, any fool can work out for an hour a day. It's the 23 hours with a fork. And you have to remain accountable to Nikki.
Yeah.
Is if you
and I'm going to bother you if you don't.
when you are honest with yourself, understand your relationship with your nutrition, you're going to make a difference. And if you want to improve, you can.
Yeah, that right there. You know, if you want to improve, if you have the desire to improve, it is possible. It's not out of reach.
There's nothing out of reach.
There's nothing out. I believe that too. There's
60
so many
pounds in a year, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm not. There's nothing special about me. I'm an old man. I got 7 kids, 6 grandkids, and I'm just your average guy that works, 60 hours a week at work. But it's the choices I make in those other 23 hours. I absolutely have to walk. I absolutely have to lift. But when you choose what you put in your mouth with her assistance and understanding and education, you're going to make a difference.
It's teamwork, baby. It's teamwork. It's teamwork. Give me some love. Ah. So anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And yes, I think, 6 months in a year, we're coming back. We're not done yet.
We're not done yet.
So I hope you guys found this encouraging, right? And I just, Eric and I have had some really long talks and really long heart-to-hearts in my office. And, I knew that he was going to be such a good motivator and a witness to what is achievable. So like I said, you can do it. If you need help, we've got you. And like I said, 70 pounds in a year, man. It's incredible. So proud of you.
You can, whatever your specific journey, you can achieve it with Nikki and Michael with Experience Health.
All right, we'll see you guys soon. We're going to end on that one. That was too good.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.